Criticised European Union countries for not extraditing Kurdish rebels to Turkey, saying that they're failing to support his country's struggle. Turkey maintains the PKK take refuge and raise money in Western Europe. Erdogan faces increasing public pressure. Hundreds of residents living on the Iraq border have staged protests demanding the government curb attacks by Kurdish fighters. As negotiations with the Iraqi government collapsed, Turkey now says it will fight Kurdish rebels when necessary, despite international pressure to hold off.
Well, at the border of Iraq and Turkey, both sides are increasing patrols. Turkey has 100,000 troops positioned in preparation for military action. Their tanks practice firing at mock targets, while planes continue monitoring PKK bases. Meanwhile, over the border, Iraq's Kurdish Defence Force is patrolling near the city of Duhok. The Kurdish army says the soldiers are there to protect the Iraq border from any foreign interference.
Well, Iraq's vice president has told Al-Jazeera that the situation is becoming ever more dangerous.
Well, the situation is rather critical and very dangerous, and there is a tremendous pressure on the Turkish government by the Turkish public and by the military people, and the situation is rather very, very difficult, and it's quite risky.
Well, meanwhile, diplomatic efforts to avert further conflict between Turkey and the PKK continue in Iran. Turkey's Foreign Minister Ali Babacan is there for talks with top Iranian officials.
Well, earlier I spoke with our correspondent in Tehran, Reza Ronaghi, and I began by asking him what Turkey hoped would come out of these talks.
It is obvious that Turkey is looking for Iran's support, whether it wants to go to war or not. Because if it wants to go to war to somehow overthrow all those PKK fighters in Iraqi territories, it would need Iran's help to stand by its side and at least does not interfere. And Iran has said that it's opposing any kind of military incursion by Turkey into Iraq. But in case there is such an incursion, Turkey needs to make sure that Iran stands neutral. And the second way that Turkey may want Iran's help is that Iran has a lot of influence inside the Iraqi government, and it may use its influence to convince Iraqis, give more concessions to the Turkish government, the way that they want to prevent the war. If they want to prevent the war, they would need more cooperation from the Iraqi government. That hasn't been possible through the face-to-face talks.
Realistically, though, I mean, you mentioned that Iran may have some sway, but how much real difference can it make to Turkey to have Iran on side?
If we just take a look at the backgrounds of many of the Iraqi officials now, including the President Talabani himself, they have this background of long-standing friendship with Iran, and they have stayed in Iran for a very long time during Saddam's reign in Iraq. And it seems like Iran could be a very good, very useful friend at this time that the Turkish government is not receiving much of support from its American ally, and they have been trying to convince Americans to help inside Iraq, but it seems like the answer has not been positive. But at this moment of time, Iran's influence inside Iraq could be very helpful. For example, in case there is an incursion, and in case there is something that could somehow spread itself into Iranian borders, the Turkish government does want Iran's cooperation to help and stop that kind of refuge taking inside Iranian territory. So it would be very important for Turkey to have Iran on its side at this moment.
Reza Ronaghi, our correspondent in Tehran, speaking to us a little bit earlier.